If you have 20 minutes a month, we can get you up to date on everything involved in buying or selling a home. This is the Real Estate Roundtable, your monthly update on the real estate market from a Winnipeg perspective. Now, here's your hosts, Ryan Peterson and real estate expert Bo Kaufman.
Welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Roundtable.
This month's show includes a complete update on the local market.
We'll talk to Marilyn Firth about the special events going on at the St. Norbert Farmers Market.
And our featured guest today on Ask the Expert is Mould and Asbestos removal specialist Steve Green from Breathe Easy Eco Solutions.
But first, our resident real estate expert Bo Kaufman is going to address one of the most popular questions in real estate. What comes first, buying or selling?
Well, Ryan, a friend of mine, Rick in Southdale, sent me this question. He had a friend who asked him about their current situation. Their real estate agent was telling them that they had to sell their present home before she would show them any more homes that they could purchase. She was asking, can I not work out something with the bank to bridge the difference between purchase and sale? I would hate to be on the street with my family and be forced to buy something I don't want. Ryan, this is a very common question, and the heart of it is, what do you do first? If you're going to move up or down, if you have a house to sell and you want to buy something else, what do you do first, buy or sell? And my answer to that is always to ask, what scares you more, being homeless or owning two homes? In this scenario, being homeless obviously is a big no-no for this person. So my advice to her would be to speak to the bank to get their assurance. And if they say that it's okay to own two homes, because worst case scenario, you buy a home and you cannot sell yours in the time before you take possession of your new home. And if that happens, you actually end up owning two homes. So if the bank says, yes, that's okay, you have the financial capability to do that, then I would say buy first. However, if the bank says no, you've got to sell the house before you take possession of a new one, then I would say put yours on the market for a long possession day. And I just did that with two couples. And that's what we did is we put up their properties for a long possession day. We sold it. And then, as luck would have it, we found a new home for them within a week.
I had the opposite happen to me. When we were between our starter home and the home we're in now, there was actually a 2-month period where I owned two houses.
And that's fine, so long as the bank sticks by you, because if they don't, you could lose the new purchase, you could lose your deposit, and that's kind of a scary scenario too.
So what about making the offer subject to the sale of your home?
This really was a common scenario about 20 years ago. If you bought a house in the 90s, almost everything was done subject to the sale of your house. In today's market, it's less common and it really depends on your situation. So I'll give you an extreme example to show what would work. If you own a $300,000 house in St. Vital, so you've got a very popular house in a popular neighborhood and in a very good price range, you would expect that that house is going to sell within 2 or 3 weeks. Now you go out and you want to buy something for $600,000 in Bridgewater, for example. I looked this morning and there are 15 houses in Bridgewater Forest that are in the $600,000 range. And many of them have been sitting for a few months. So you make an offer on that house subject to the sale of your $300,000 St. Vital house. Well, the odds are in your favor that within the next 2 weeks or so, you're going to sell your house and nobody else is going to come and make an offer on the Bridgewater house and force your hand. So that will work fine. But if you turn it the other way around, if you own, let's say, a $500,000 condo somewhere, and those can take 6-8 months to sell easily, and you're going to make an offer on a $300K house in St. Vital, well, chances are that before long, somebody else is going to also make an offer on that house and force your hand. So that's not going to work as well. So it really depends on your situation, and you need to discuss that with your real estate agent, and I'm always able to answer those kind of questions for you if you have a question like that.
So now that we understand how to navigate the buying and selling process, let's take a closer look at the opportunities in the current market.
Time now for the Market Report with Bo Kaufman of RE/MAX Performance Realty.
All right, let's take a look at the overall residential market in Winnipeg. Right now, there are 2,578 houses for sale, and that's down 12% from last year at this time. Sold in the past month was 1,235 homes, and that's only down 1%. So what this means is we have less inventory than last year, but the same kind of sales activity. Now, of those 2,500 active homes on the market, nearly 700 are in that $200,000 to $300,000 range. That's the most popular range for first-time buyers. Another 585 homes are in the next price range between $300,000 and $400,000. And we've got 425 homes over the $500,000 mark. Those are luxury homes, considered by RE/MAX to be in the luxury home section. And 37 of those are over the $1 million mark. By the way, if you want to buy $1 million home, give me a call. I'm always available to give you a hand.
Maybe some of the new Winnipeg Jets players are looking, right?
That would be nice. 1,235 homes sold in June. The biggest segment there, again, no surprise, is in that $250,000 to $300,000 range. 1 in 5 homes sold, and that's 254 homes sold in that price range. The next biggest section is the 300 to 350 price range, and a little over 200 homes sold there, and 108 homes sold in that luxury section of over $500,000. And we sold 5 $1 million plus homes in the last month. Taking a look at the condo market, overall we have 872 condos available. That's down 3% from last year. And the sales, which are 173 condos in June were sold, is down 7.5%. So that's down, the sales are down slightly more than the available listings.
Sometimes when I'm driving around, I notice there's such an abundance of condo developments going up. How come there are so many condos that are going up in the market?
Well, in my opinion, I think the builders finally caught up with demand. About 5-6 years ago, there was a real demand for it, and a bunch of builders got into it, and now they finally caught up with it. So that's why we're having so many condos sitting on the market right now. Condos available, we have 253 in that $150,000 to $200,000 price range. There's a lot of nice condos available in that price range. There's 168 condos in the 200 to 250 range, and the same number in the 250 to 300 range. We also have 26 condos in the luxury range of $500,000 plus, and 3 of those are over $1 million. Now, the average days on market for those active condos is 59 days. That's just shy of 2 months. Now, what this means is if you are interested in a condo, you're likely to find something out there, and you're likely to find even a bargain because they've been on the market for a while, and you should be able to negotiate a little better price as well. Of the ones that have sold, the biggest segment again is in that 150 to 200 range. 46 condos sold there, and 30 sold in the 200 to 250 range. 4 condos sold in the luxury range, over $500,000, and the average days on market for sold condos is 41 days. And I just want to round up this segment with talking about seller's market and buyer's markets in Winnipeg. What is seller's market? Well, right now, if you've got a house in Linden Woods, you're in definitely a seller's market. There's only 4 houses for sale in all of Linden Woods. East Kildonan, a fairly large area, only has 9 homes for sale. South River Heights has 9. White Ridge, there are only 4 houses for sale in all of White Ridge. Waverly Heights, get this, there are only 6 houses for sale in Waverly Heights, and 3 of those are side-by-sides. So if you've got a house in any one of those areas, absolutely now is a great time to put it on the market. As for buyers markets, in the $250,000 to $350,000 range, St. Vital Meadowood has 27 homes for sale. That's quite a lot in that small price range. Garden City has 22, and Transcona has 56 houses in that 250 to 350 range. And West Down Portage, that's in Westwood and St. James, we have 23 homes in that range. This is a popular price range with first-time buyers. Those are great areas to look in if you're looking for a first-time home. If you're looking at something more luxurious, $450,000 to $700,000 homes, Bridgewater has 36 of those, Royal Wood has 22, Sage Creek has 20, and there's lots in East St. Paul as well, 21 homes in that $500,000 to $700,000 roughly range.
Coming up after the break, we'll find out about a non-toxic solution to mold and asbestos with this month's Ask the Expert, Steve Green from Breathe Easy Eco Solutions.
Real stories of buying a home with Bo Kaufman.
Well, my husband wanted something fairly modern and new, and I was willing to get more of a fixer-upper kind of a house. He would listen to our conversation that we were having between the two of us, and he just knows what to listen for and narrow down what your wants truly are.
What do you look for in a real estate agent?
He's friendly, he's knowledgeable, he knows how to get you on the same page.
Find it in Bo Kaufman.
He's who I wanted to work with.
Visit Bo at winnipeghomefinder.com.
Bo Kaufman of RE/MAX is a proud supporter of Darcy's Animal Rescue Center. At Darcy's, we save nearly 1,000 cats and dogs from neglect, abuse, or homelessness in Winnipeg each year. Check out our shelter and store at 730 Century Street. Darcy's Ark. We rescue for life.
Buying or selling a home requires specialists from multiple related fields. Hear everything you need to know direct from the source as the Real Estate Roundtable presents Ask the Expert.
And joining us today is Steve Green from Breathe Easy Eco Solutions. Steve, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So can you tell me a little bit about your company and how it got started?
About 15 years ago in British Columbia, we were cleaning grow-ops, and we found a completely eco-friendly product that actually stopped mold dead in its tracks. So we successfully grew that into a mold treatment business and moved to Winnipeg in 2009. At that point, we started focusing almost specifically on residential homes, doing asbestos duct cleaning and air testing.
Okay, Steve, you and I have talked in the past, and you've told me about this product that you've developed, but what makes it so special? What makes it different from the other products available?
Well, Bo, a lot of the products that are available off the shelf are not 100% effective killing mold. The products that are very effective in killing mold are quite often dangerous to your health. Our product is mixed for each job, and it kills 100% of the mold all of the time. It's completely eco-friendly. It's made with nothing but food-grade materials. We have had many, many instances where following our treatment, we've had third parties come in to do the testing, and they have found no measurable fungus following our treatment in an area that was completely contaminated with mold. Our product doesn't harm pets or plants, and it doesn't damage furniture or electronics in any way.
Now, Steve, I bet you some of our listeners are wondering this right now. What does it smell like?
Well, we get a large variety of answers on that, but for the most part, I think it smells like tea tree oil, which is one of the key ingredients and a very effective mold killer. It has a very pleasant odor which dissipates in about 2 days.
Now, it'll kill on contact, but you also get a way to distribute it through the house in the air as well.
Yes, we do both. The treatment that we provide, it is sprayed directly on the moldy area, and then it's also diffused into the air, which kills any spores that may have been released.
Now, when people are looking for a company to look after an air quality issue for them, what are some of the things that they should be looking for in that company?
You're going to want to look to see that the company has been in business for more than a couple of years, because every year we see companies come and we see companies go. You want to make sure that they have a physical address. Avoid post office boxes, apartments, or virtual offices downtown that make the company look really good, but you want to find out whether or not they have a physical location that you can go to actually talk to someone there if you need to. You want to make sure that they've got a good and responsible web page. Ideally, they provide links to places like Health Canada's website or American EPA, someplace that you're going to get reliable information on the types of contaminants you're worried about.
It sounds like your industry has its share of truck and ladder guys. What are the dangers of hiring these kinds of operations?
They oftentimes reduce their prices because they're not insured. They should have a minimum of $2 million liability insurance. And if they look nervous when you ask to see that, then you should ask for the documentation. They should be registered with workers' compensation. You can go online to the workers' compensation site and find out if that company is registered. If one of their workers has an accident on your site and they're not registered, you could be held responsible and your insurance company may not pay for it.
Wow.
That's an unusual circumstance, but it certainly has happened in the past. You should make sure that they do continuous training of their workers and their staff, because they have to have a commitment to ongoing changes in regulations. And you need to make very, very sure that they are completely dedicated to the safety of not just their workers and company assets, but also to you as a customer.
I find a lot of Winnipeggers, they like to get bargains, and they go on Kijiji and they find the guy that, like Ryan says, the truck and ladder guys. But we're talking here about mold and asbestos and people's health. So I would certainly strongly suggest that people give you a call.
Mold has almost immediate effects on a person's health, especially if you have an underdeveloped immune system, such as children or the elderly or people who are perhaps having their immune system compromised through surgery or a disease of some kind. You definitely want to ensure that every mold problem that you've got is dealt with very, very quickly. Asbestos, on the other hand, the effects are not felt for more than 20 years. May not affect an old guy like you and me, Bo, but it certainly does affect children who may be living in the house.
Give me an example of what are some of the household products that might contain asbestos? What are some examples?
Up until 1980, asbestos was used widely in almost all building materials. So if you go into a house that was built before 1980, you can find asbestos in the flooring, those 9x9 floor tiles, or the linoleum, or the walls themselves, and the drywall, the filler that they use between the sheets of drywall, or up on the ceiling. If you're looking up and you see stippled ceiling up there, that could contain asbestos, or even higher up in your attic, vermiculite. That could contain asbestos as well. So prior to doing any sort of renovation or cutting holes in the wall for any good reason, or even going into your attic to add extra insulation, all that material should be tested to make sure.
Now, asbestos is basically, it's safe so long as it's not introduced into the air as an air particulate.
That's correct. And there's no reason to be afraid of it just because it's in your attic. We get customers who phone up lots of times who are in quite a panic about that. We tell them that every reputable website, including Health Canada, says if you're not disturbing it, it's quite safe.
Okay. One of my favorite ones is when I walk into a house built in the 1920s and they have the old boiler in the basement and it's covered in kind of a concrete mixture and that's kind of an insulation. Does that contain asbestos?
Almost all the time. Yes, it does. And you'll find oftentimes the pipes that lead to it are wrapped in a pipe wrap that contains asbestos as well. That needs to be removed by a professional.
So not the truck and ladder guy that come and cut everything apart in your house and haul it out?
No, they will contaminate your house if they don't set up proper containment and do the necessary safety precautions to make sure that you're not living in an asbestos-filled indoor air environment.
Great.
What are some of the warning signs that I should keep a look for in my house that I have a growing mold problem?
Look in the areas that are primarily high humidity areas, such as your bathroom or your laundry room. Those are areas that are key places where you could find under the kitchen sink or the bathroom sink where there could be a leak of some sort. You can invest in one of those cheap humidity meters that are $15 or thereabouts and check to see your humidity should never be more than 60%. And if it is, then you can remedy that by buying yourself a dehumidifier.
Now, most homeowners prioritize their projects based on how much they cost. How can people find out more information about a ballpark figure of what this would cost?
And we get that question a lot on the phone, and that's why we offer free inspections. It is very difficult for somebody to say, I have mold in my bathroom, how much will you charge to remove it? Because if that mold has structurally damaged the drywall in the bathroom, or there's other problems that may have resulted because the mold has been there, then what we probably need to do is we need to come in, take a look at it. Our certified inspectors will look over the situation. They'll discuss it with you. They will give you a proper report on what needs to be done to resolve the problem and how you can keep the problem away after it is resolved. And then once that's all done, if there is work to be done, we'll provide you with a free, no obligation quote.
Steve Green is from Breathe Easy Eco Solutions. Steve, before you go, how can people get a hold of you?
They can reach us online at www.breatheasywinnipeg.ca, or they can call our number 204-416-6500.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Steve, for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thanks.
Who knows the answers to your real estate questions? Bo knows. Good thing it's time for Bo Knows Real Estate.
And today our Bo Knows question comes via email from Susie in St. Vital. Susie writes, if we make an offer on a house and there are 10 other offers and we offer the highest amount at full price, does the owner have to accept it?
Okay, Susie, that's a great question. There's two parts to this. One is if you're making a full price offer, does the seller have to accept it? And the other one is if you're the highest offer, does the seller have to accept it? In both cases, the answer is no. The seller never has to accept a full price offer legally. Ethically, they should. If they list the house for $299 and you make an offer for $299, really you would expect them to accept that. However, courts have held in the past that a seller does not have to accept any offer. The second part is if you're the highest offer, again, a seller doesn't have to accept yours just because you're the highest. I've had this happen to me where the seller recognized one of the lower offers as a relative and he decided to go with that offer just simply because he recognized the name on the offer. So a seller cannot be compelled to accept any one or the other offer. It's totally up to them and their discretion.
Now, Bo, I've heard a couple of stories from friends and acquaintances where offers were turned down because the seller didn't really want to sell the house.
That is a problem sometimes with private sales because they have no listing contract to compel them to do anything. Part of the listing contract says that if you're going to list your house for $300,000 and we bring you a $300,000 offer with no conditions, if you decide not to accept that, you could be compelled to pay the commission. But of course, private sellers can do whatever they want, and that it does happen that last minute they change their mind and waste everybody's time.
Got a real estate question? Email it to boknowshomes@gmail.com, and it could be featured on the next Bo Knows Real Estate.
When we return, we'll find out about some special events that will help mark the 30th year of the St. Norbert Farmers Market.
Real stories of selling a home with Bo Kaufman.
He does market it. I could go to different sites and I would always see my home listed. After my contact with Bo, a lot of agents came through the house. Honestly, I have a stack of cards from these people. He knew exactly what I wanted for the home, and I got exactly what I was asking for.
What do you look for in a real estate agent?
Professional, pleasant, reliable, trustworthy, very patient.
Find it in Bo Kaufman.
I just left it in his hands.
Visit Bo at winnipeghomefinder.com.
Bo Kaufman of RE/MAX is a proud supporter of Darcy's Animal Rescue Center. At Darcy's, we save nearly 1,000 cats and dogs from neglect, abuse, or homelessness in Winnipeg each year. Check out our shelter and store at 730 Century Street. Darcy's Ark. We rescue for life.
What's going on this month in and around Winnipeg? Find out with the Community Callout.
Today on the Community Callout, we're on the line with Marilyn Firth, Executive Director of Le Marché St. Norbert's Farmers Market. Marilyn, tell us a bit about the history of the market.
Well, St. Norbert's Farmers Market started almost 30 years ago. Next year, we're celebrating our 30th anniversary. So it started in 1988 with just 8 vendors on the grass sitting out there at 3514 Pembina Highway. And we are now a much larger market with, on a busy Saturday in the summertime, 125 to 130 vendors. So we've grown a lot in our 30 years.
Now, I understand there's a number of special events throughout the season. Can you tell me what's going on this summer?
Sure. Well, this summer in August, we have a special event called Farmers Festival, Home Skills for the 21st Century, and that's taking place on August the 9th. And what happens with that event is we have our Wednesday Farmers Market, because we have a market on Saturday and Wednesdays. So during that Wednesday market, we're going to have all kinds of people on site, and they'll be doing workshops throughout our market. And so you can learn all about how to make kombucha, how to sharpen your knife, how to make yogurt, how to make soap. So we call it Home Skills for the 21st Century. It's the skills that your grandma knew and you wish you knew. So that's what that event's all about. So we're very excited about that. It's our second year doing that this year. And then in September, we have a special event called Farmers Feast. And Farmers Feast is our annual fundraising dinner. It happens under the canopies on September the 7th. Our local work chef, Ben Kramer, makes a 5-course gourmet dinner. It's simply fabulous. 5 farmers will be there telling their farm stories, and you'll be eating their food while they're telling their farm stories. So it's very lovely. And the funds from that support the development of our winter market, which we've been working on for the past few years.
And I was just about to ask, what can we expect this season from the winter market?
Well, we expect our winter market to grow a lot this year, and that's because we're getting a brand new canopy on our market site. It'll be fully enclosed, and so we'll be able to host for the first time our winter markets on our own site. For the past few years, we've had to go across the road to a community space that can only hold 30 vendors. So we're expecting to at least double the size of our winter markets. We're very excited about that. We're thinking that's going to really grow our winter market. It's a great place to get local food year-round because everything at our market is made, baked, or grown right here in Manitoba. We're excited that people, even in the wintertime, will be able to access lots of that locally made stuff.
Now, I have a friend that about a year and a half ago moved across the street from the St. Norbert's Farmers Market, and he said he hasn't gone a week without buying a pie yet.
Oh, very good. Well, the pies are pretty fabulous, I have to say, so I'm sure he's enjoying them.
Marilyn Firth is the Executive Director with Le Marché St. Norbert's Farmers Market. Marilyn, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Now, before we close out the show, here's The Last Word with Bo Kaufman.
Okay, I started noticing this trend actually in the States. They have radio ads and TV ads, and they call themselves We Buy Ugly Houses. And around Winnipeg now, you can see posters up on telephone poles and trees, and it says, "We buy houses for cash." Same idea. Here's the scenario. They'll pay you cash, no muss, no fuss. You don't have to list your house. There's no mortgage required. They'll give you a perfect possession date. They'll buy your house as is for about 65 to 70 cents on the dollar. And therein lies the rub. They're never going to give you full value for your house. I had a house on Burnell Street a couple of months ago, and this place was cute. It was original to the 1950s. The original family owned this house for the last 65 years. It had plywood cupboards. It had what I call battleship linoleum flooring in the kitchen. This stuff is ugly as hell, but it'll outlast the house. It had baby blue bathrooms. Nothing was done to this house, straight from the 50s. So we put it up for sale, and the first day on the market, we get a real lowball offer. The offer was $188,000, and when I talked to the agent who brought the offer, he explained that his clients were one of these people that wanted to buy the house and flip it. Change everything, modernize everything, but make money in the process, of course. So my seller was not happy or not willing to accept $188,000 on the first day out. And he's glad he waited, because about 2 days later, somebody came up with $205,000. So that is $17,000 more. And that is from a family who wanted to live in the house, and they are willing to do the work themselves over the next few years. My point here is, rather than sell your house at a deep discount to somebody who's willing to offer you cash, give me a shout, because there are chances out there that somebody's willing to buy the house to live in, and they will always outbid these people who are willing to buy for cash, but who want to make a quick profit in a couple of months.
But what's another couple of options for people that think that their house is unsellable on the market? What could they do to get it there?
Well, first of all, give me a call. If the house has structural problems, that might be more difficult. But if it's a house that just needs some cosmetic upgrades, I certainly have a lot of contacts and connections in the industries that can help you get your house showable and get top dollar at that point.
Fantastic. Thanks for listening to this month's Real Estate Roundtable. Now, Bo, I understand that people can now subscribe to this and all of your podcasts on iTunes and Stitcher.com. What do they need to do?
Well, let's, for example, go to Stitcher.com. That's STITCHER.com, and search for Winnipeg's Real Estate Podcast. And that is for Android devices. If you have an Apple device and you want to subscribe to it on iTunes, go to the iTunes store and again, search for Winnipeg's Real Estate Podcast. It's very prominent on there, and you can subscribe to all the episodes, not just this, but all the other podcast episodes that I produce.
Perfect. Until next month, get out there and enjoy the Manitoba summer, and take care.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to The Real Estate Roundtable, your monthly update on the real estate market from a Winnipeg perspective. Google Winnipeg's Real Estate Podcast to hear the latest episode, or search Winnipeg Home Finder on Facebook.